Hey guys, this is Comic Uno, and today I'm doing Comic Uno's Best Comics of the Week. This is the show where I review all the comics I read this week in one show. We go least favorite to best pick of the week and everything in between, so let's get started. Before I jump into this though, of course, hopefully you guys can give this a like, subscribe, and comment on the video. It really does help. And also, I do have a Kickstarter going on called Bi Visibility, a bisexual anthology, so hopefully you guys could go check that out. And at the end of the video, we do the viewer's pick of the week. So in the comments below, be sure to add your pick of the week from this week for a chance to be featured on the video. Now let's get started. Number 9 for me this week was Batman issue 113. Honestly, the artwork was really good for this book, and that's kind of what made it hard to put it on the bottom, but just because I feel like this book has been going through the motions, and honestly, the overall plot just doesn't intrigue me. It's the reason why it's the lower book this week. I'm still not really interested in the Magistrate. I'm honestly not interested in Scarecrow's story, and even Anti-Oracle, I feel like, is just such a slow burn. There's nothing that's really huge that happens in this issue, so it's a very skippable, forgettable issue. So overall, I'm giving that 2 stars, and that is number 9. Moving on to number 8, which is another Batman book, and that is Miracle Molly, Batman Secret Files, issue 1. I've been collecting all the secret files for the most part, wanting to learn more about these new characters. I think it's great that they're highlighting these new characters, but the only one that really grabbed me was the Huntress one, because it was so connected to Detective Comics. This is connected to Batman Fear State, but I'm also not too invested in Batman Fear State, like I just previously said with Batman. And honestly, this story was pretty good. I enjoyed the Miracle Molly secret origins, as you could say. I enjoyed the build up there, but the artwork was very hard to get through. It was a very specific style, kind of had this scribbly style to it. It just wasn't too detailed, and it wasn't really my preference, so it really got hard to enjoy this issue because of that. So overall, giving that 2.5 stars, and that is number 8. Moving on to number 7, which is The Death of Doctor Strange, issue 1. Now, I'm not a huge Doctor Strange fan, but I'm intrigued to see what this is all about. I do want to see who the next Sorcerer Supreme will be. I think that's what I'm most invested in, even more than who killed Doctor Strange. This was a very slow burn of an issue. So you just kind of follow Doctor Strange's day saying, hey, one day I might die. So you obviously know the foreshadowing's coming. So what is life going to be like after this? If you don't know who Doctor Strange is, I think it does a pretty good job at describing the character, even though, you have a whole movie to describe him. So I don't know if you necessarily needed that. So yeah, we get to see his everyday life, and then he ends up dying by this mysterious person. And then it looks like one of the versions of himself comes into the picture to be the detective of the story, which was kind of interesting. I want to miss Doctor Strange though, so it's kind of weird that he's going to be his own detective. So I don't know if that really gives the oomph and the hit of, oh my God, we just lost Doctor Strange. And I think that's been a big problem with Marvel in particular, is how many characters have died and come back to life, especially with Krakoa. We just had possibly Spider-Man getting hurt, but I'm pretty sure it's been confirmed that he's not dying. We had Scarlet Witch who died. There's just a lot of characters that are dying, and it's like, okay, what does this actually mean? And this one, again, I'm more interested in, okay, what does this mean for Doctor Strange's role than what it means for Stephen Strange, and that's why I'm still invested in this story. But I don't know if this issue 1 did a great job to hook me, even though I think there's some elements to murder mysteries that's kind of put on its head, which is interesting. Artwork wise, I really like Lee Garbutt's art style. I don't know if this is his best work. I do feel like it was felt a little rushed at times, but overall, I do like the visuals for this book. So we'll see where it ends up going. I will be picking up issue 2, and I'm looking forward to December to see exactly what this is all going to mean for this side of the Marvel Universe. So I'm giving that 2.5 stars, and that is number 7. Moving on to number 6, a little lower than usual, and that is Radiant Black issue 8. This is just a point A to point B issue. That's mostly why it's low. It's still a good issue. The artwork is out of this world. There's so many great sequences here. But the story itself, we get some small connections with the team and a little bit more progression with who the overall villain is, but not really enough to say, oh my god, this was a great issue. It really was more of an action issue, and I do wish we got a little bit more from this one, but honestly, this book's been balls to the walls, so, we are allowed to have these slower issues. So overall, giving this 3 stars, and that is my number 6 pick. Moving on to number 5, which is Stillwater, issue 10. And this is a really interesting perspective. We go back to the little boy who's obviously in his mind is not a little boy because he's been around for a very long time, but because of this town, no one grows up. So it's really the idea of how these kids are adults, but they're kind of these spies of the town because they're able to walk on this blind side, and now no one really gets to see them or recognize them. And then we have this kid, I think a little bit too quickly, gain power here to maybe shift focus and try to get people to age. So that's kind of the direction it's going. I do feel like that ending part was a little rushed, but I love the concept of it. And I really like these kids. I think they're probably one of the more interesting aspects of this town just because of how they're affected and how they are related to our main character, a kid who is able to grow up. The artwork for this is always pretty solid for it is a Talking Heads issue, but there's some good action by the end and some good, strong, tense moments by the end as well that's really built up well with the art style. So I'm giving this 3 stars or 3.5 stars, and that is number 5. Moving on to number 4, which is Babyteeth, issue 20, which is the last issue of Babyteeth. And, it definitely plays as an epilogue, not really a final part. It is about our main character's son, Clark, and what he does when he grows up, how our main character lives her life in the end of the story, how it's kind of all related to the bigger world, and I liked it. I thought it was a calm epilogue. I do feel like this issue didn't really necessarily need to happen, but I did like it. So overall, it was a good issue. If you're really, really invested in the characters, I think it was nice to kind of get that glimpse with Clark, but there wasn't really a big wow moment for this issue, but I thought it was a somber moment, which is kind of what this book needed. So overall, giving that 3.5 stars, and that is number 4. Moving on to number 3, which is Nightwing issue 84. This is probably the lowest it's been the series, but obviously still on a high mount for the top 5. This issue, the only reason why it's a little lower, it is a tie-in issue. So it ties into Fear State, which feels like the overall theme of this episode is that there's a lot of Fear State out and a lot of Batman out. And this one's, an interesting connection of Dick Grayson dealing with the ramifications of, telling the world about his money and what he's going to do with it. And then everything going on with Fear State, and especially anti-Oracle and Oracle being controlled by whoever it's being controlled by. And, there's some really good character moments here with Batman and Nightwing teaming up. I really like the art style. I'm a huge Spider-Gwen fan, so to see Robbie Rodriguez on the art, it really worked here. It brings a little grittier of a tone than Bruno Randolfo's artwork that we've been seeing with Nightwing, and I think that's necessary for a grittier story like Fear State. And then as we get to the end, we already knew this was going to happen because it kind of was spoiled for us already, but Barbara Gordon does return to the Batgirl mantle and has a new costume and obviously wants to fight for her voice, fight for Oracle. So I definitely love that ending. Can't wait to see the team up between Barbara and Nightwing. But this is kind of a calm before the storm. It really was a build-up issue towards whatever is going to happen in Fear State I'm guessing, the main series and also this series as well. So overall, solid issue, but I do think there has been stronger issues of Nightwing in the past. So giving that 4 stars, and that is number 3. Moving on to number 2, which is Aquaman The Becoming, issue 1. I've been hearing a lot of hype for this issue, just like, oh, you have to read it. It's a new direction for DC Comics, and I like this character. Honestly, one of the only Future State books I liked was the Aquaman series, so I was pretty excited for this one, even though I'm not a fan of the Aquaman franchise at all. There's very little Aquaman books I've read, but I was looking forward to this one as a Teen Titans fan, as a fan of Jackson. And honestly, it doesn't disappoint. It really has everything in this issue. It balances the Earth side of his story with him connecting with his mom, connecting to maybe this new guy who might have secrets that we don't know about yet, so that was a lot of fun. But then also just him interacting with Aquaman and Mera and seeing his role in Atlantis was really interesting. There's some good action. The Teen Titans are in this issue. The artwork is out of this world. It's so clean. The action's so good in this issue. So it's just kind of a perfect issue 1. Now, I will say the reason it didn't make number 1, towards the end, I feel like things got a little rushed for the sake of mystery, where we get to see, Jackson kind of under arrest and something happening in Atlantis. So that felt a little rushed to me, but overall, the issue was really good. It makes me very excited to see what Jackson's role is going to be in the DC Universe, and just really enjoyed this creative team and what they had to give us. So overall, giving that 4 stars, and that is number 2. Moving on to my number 1 pick, which is Fantastic Four, issue 36. And this is a one and done, and sometimes you just want those one and dones. It's the ramifications of not just the anniversary issue, but Dr. Doom's wedding, where we get to see not Mr. Fantastic, Johnny is going supernova. He can't control his powers, and it's really affecting his home and affecting his family and affecting himself. He can't feel emotion. He's numb after going through a very emotional breakup with Sky, or was it a breakup? Were they together? That's kind of the question. And him doing the wrong thing and him sleeping with Dr. Doom's fiance. So he's dealing with the ramifications of that while not being able to feel anything. And just seeing how the family goes through that was a really well done issue. The artwork by Nico Leon really works for the emotions, but also brings the colors also brings in some brightness to this issue as well for a kind of emotionally driven issue. The fire aspect was really good here. And yeah, it just was a really good Johnny issue, but shows how everyone else was affected. There's a good battle between him and Sky and how they're connected. And, obviously it seems like this is going to progress somewhere else, but this was a really good story for Johnny, and just it shows that you don't always need seven issues of an arc to tell a good story. You could just tell a one shot, a one issue, and tell a really good story there. And I think this story did a really good job with that. So overall, giving that 4 stars, and that is my pick of the week. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. Let me know in the comments below what your pick of the week was. And of course, the viewers' pick of the week from last week was Spider-Woman, which was actually my pick of the week as well. And here are some comments about that. So hopefully you guys enjoyed. This is Comic Uno, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.